Hello everyone, TechnoFox here, back with another video. Today's video I'm going to be analyzing the story of Mixtape. Mixtape is a interactive story. It's about three teenagers on their last day together before the main character, Stacy Rockfeld, goes away to New York. The other two characters are Slater, and the last one is Cassandra. First, I'm going to analyze the characters and who they are. The first character I'm going to go over is Stacy. Stacy is the main character that you play as, and she is obsessed with music. Her whole personality evolves around the soundtracks she has made, or the mixtapes she has made. There's really not much to Stacy's character other than her breaking the fourth wall to tell you what song she's about to play and a little bit of the history of what the song is. There's not much more to her than just a shallow character. I would have liked to see a little bit more of who she was as a character, which I think would have made the story better. She's pretty much just a teen that's obsessed with music and just wants to rebel. That's pretty much her whole character in a nutshell. The nice touch, though, that they did have at the end was for the first time throughout the whole interactive story, she did not put her music on because it didn't, for her, it didn't feel right. Which I think they should have done a little bit more. So yeah, it was pretty much just her being obsessed with music, and that's it. Next is Cassandra. Cassandra is your typical overachieving girl that has so many awards and with strict parents. And all she really wants to do is rebel against them, which isn't a bad character arc per se, but it's pretty much just as a character. You don't get to learn, yet again, much about her. She also says that she doesn't know who she is in the story. I think it would have been better if we got to see her becoming a little bit more who she is. I understand it's kind of hard to do that within the short amount of time, but that would have actually been more interesting to her character and her character development than what we got. Than her just being a rebellious teenager that just doesn't want to do what her parents want her to do anymore. The last member of the three is Slater. He has more character than I feel like other two do. He kind of starts out as your typical, I would say stoner, I guess. He's just lovable. And he's chill. The reason why I think he has the most character out of the other two is because in the actual story, he has made an album, but he's afraid to show other people the album because he's afraid of what they're going to think of him through his songs. And I think that shows very good characteristics about him and who he is as a person. He's not just some stoner that just wants to drink or, he has fears, and his fear is being judged by other people, even his friends, which I think the other two lack. I think he would have been a very cool character to see more of, and to see more of his inner thoughts on what he thinks about everything that's going on. So yeah, that's pretty much all the characters that you get to really meet. You get to briefly see Cassandra's father, which is a police officer. But other than that, that's kind of the main ones. Off to looking at the actual story itself. The story of Mixtape is very generic. There's really not much going on except for looking into the past of the three friends. That's what it focuses on, and that's about it. There's really not much tension there. They did try to put some tension in with the fight between Sandra and Stacy. But even then it seemed kind of forced and kind of out of nowhere. You didn't have a hint of Cassandra not wanting Stacy to leave. There wasn't that tension building up. It was pretty much she was fine and then she exploded. I think they should have wrote in maybe some ideas of her not liking the fact that Stacy was leaving and then have the big explosion. Kind of poorly written for that to happen. It was out of the blue, and I felt it was forced to have some kind of conflict. But really, other than that, there's really not much of a story. Stacy kind of like thinks back to everything that has happened in their life as they go on the journey of trying to get booze and to this like big awesome party in the end. But other than that, there's really nothing else there. Was it a bad story? No. Was it a good story? No. Definitely not a 10 out of 10. I would say it's mediocre at best. I think it needed a lot more working on, and actually, I think if the characters were a lot more developed on who they are, I think that would have also kind of carried on the story a little bit better. Had some more tension between Cassandra and Stacy. I think that would have been far more better. I'm not going to show the actual scene because I was completely disgusted by it, which was the making out scene. If anyone knows, just skip it. Just skip that part. It didn't have to happen. The makeout scene was far too much, and that almost really killed it for me. If I wasn't going to make this video and make a review on it, I would have just stopped right then and there. And I think it would have actually done a little bit better if there wasn't a makeout scene the way it was. The next thing I want to focus on is dialogue. The dialogue was quite bad, actually. With the fourth wall breaking, with Stacy talking about every single track that was going to happen, really was not the best idea to do. Because it took you out of the story itself. Like to have her literally stop everything to look at you and say the song, the band, and a little bit about the song kind of broke the immersion. I also found the dialogue to be very cringy at times. Like it was trying to be something that it's not. It almost felt like it wanted to be a little bit more edgy. But when you try to force something to be edgy, it just comes off as cringe. Make the characters more concrete in who they are. Then you can do dialogue more clever. If you don't have the characters built, then the dialogue is going to fall flat. Now I'm going to do my final thoughts on the actual interactive story. It's not a good game. It's not a good interactive story, but it's not a bad one either. I would say it's middle of the road, not bad, not good. Definitely not a 10 out of 10. I would actually have to rate it probably a 4 out of 10. Play it if you want, but I could honestly say you can skip it. If there's another story driven game or game in general that you want me to do a deep dive in and talk about and how I feel about it, please comment down below and give me some pointers on what I can fix on. Alright, thank you. Bye bye.